The Tories are desperate to paint Keir Starmer as soft on irregular migration. And Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick this weekend took to the Sun to make this argument. Sir Keir Starmer faces serious questions for trying to thwart our work to stop the boats. A key claim in the article is this. So Jenrick writes, "Today we learn that a top lawyer who advised Labour on anti-racism policies is at the forefront of efforts to stop people being deported to Rwanda." Now, that's the second sentence of the article, so a key claim. But bizarrely, Jenrick offers no more detail about who this person might be. Jenrick went on to repeat the claim on LBC, and the host, Andrew Castle, tried to clear the mystery up.
It's also by Keir Starmer's one of his closest advisors who is involved in that legal action. So the Labour Party...
What's his name or her name?
...implicit in trying to prevent this approach.
Well, perhaps they disagree with your policy, so they're using all means to stop it, which is fair enough within the confines of the law. Who is this person? Who is Sir Keir Starmer's friend?
They should be on it. Well, they've sat on a number of boards that are linked to the...
So I don't know, Robert, what the name of this person is, so we could look up the story. I wonder if you could tell us the name of this person so we can have a good look at it.
Well, you can read, if you'd like, my op-ed in today's Sun that talks about Sir Keir's advisor, who sat on a number of panels with him. But the point I'm making here is that the Labour Party's approach is one whereby they support all of these efforts to prevent our efforts to stop the boats. And, I think that people just have to be honest about that. That's going to make life much more difficult to take forward the policy that we're pursuing.
Sir Keir Starmer, you say in your op-ed in The Sun today, page 14, faces serious questions about his links with charities and lawyers who've campaigned to thwart our work to stop the boats. Today we learned that a top lawyer who advised Labour on anti-racism policies is at the forefront of efforts to stop people being deported to Rwanda. Where is it? Where is the name here?
Well, it's in the article.
What is the name? Please, what's the name?
Andrew Castle was there sounding quite so exasperated because the name of the lawyer, so central to Jenrick's piece, this is the person who Keir Starmer is supposed to be allying with, it's not in the Sun article. But given it's not there, Jenrick could surely just clear up the mystery by telling us himself their name. He wrote the article, of course. If a sub-editor took the name out, he could tell us, no? Surely. Well, let's see what happened next.
I don't think you've named...
It's illegal.
Robert, I don't think you've named this person, Sir Keir's mate, who's trying to thwart all your cunning plans to stop people getting in boats and coming over here. I don't think you've named the person in this article. Either that or some sub has taken it out. So I'll ask you again, can you just name the person that you claim in your article is stopping people being deported to Rwanda, who is a mate of Sir Keir Starmer? Can you just give me the name?
Well, it is actually named in the article that we've seen, and also
where is it? What's the name? What line? What paragraph?
In the Home Secretary. Well, I'll send it to you so you can see it.
This is the absolute mystery to me. I don't understand why that is. Why don't you want to name that person when you say that person's name is in that piece and I can't find it? Why don't you want to name that person?
Well,
I'm sorry to be so stuck on this.
No, I understand, but you'll be able to find it online if you take a look.
It was really bizarre. You can't find that name if you look online. And I mean, I assume the reason the Sun, if what it seems like is maybe Robert Jenrick thinks he put the name in the Sun, and then maybe the Sun's legal people said, I don't think we can say that about that person. So they just made it an anonymous claim. And then Robert Jenrick, not really knowing what was going on, didn't want to name that person himself because he didn't want to be subject to any kind of legal complaint. Now, we've obviously seen this from The Sun with the Hugh Edwards story. They were writing a lot of, in many ways, spurious allegations against someone, but they didn't want to name the person because they knew that then they would be subject to legal complaints. So they made it about an anonymous BBC presenter. These are much less damaging claims than they made about Hugh Edwards. But here now we've got this lefty lawyer who's been supporting people crossing the channel on boats or whatever the allegation is. They don't want to name the person, I would presume, because they're not that confident in the accuracy of their claims. James, what did you make of that performance from Robert Jenrick? It's worth, I think, emphasising as well, the current Minister for Immigration. This isn't just some backbencher who wrote a little blog in The Sun. This is the current Minister for Immigration. It seems very unprofessional to me.
You would have thought one of your most basic bits of preparation is you might well get asked to name this person. You might well get asked to describe this person. Like if you're going into the interview, this is going to be a thing that comes up. But it just seemed like he didn't really seem aware that the name wasn't in, which suggests probably he didn't really write the piece himself. And as you say, perhaps a Sun lawyer at some point just did a quick, we can't really say this about someone alleged to be one of Keir Starmer's closest aides. This sort of nonsensical journalistic description tagged on there. I don't think the person who this may or may not be has actually been named anywhere yet. So goodness knows what's going on. But yeah, a real lack of preparation, like just missing the most basic thing you're likely to get asked in any interview. Isn't like, oh, this mysterious, all powerful person secretly controlling Labour policy. Can you name them? Is the next sort of thing to get to.
Yeah, completely bizarre. And obviously he's in charge of Britain's immigration system, which is, we say that the Labour line that the government's problem is competence is very much limited. In many ways, it would be better if they made a moral case for the kind of things, or a moral case against the kind of things the Conservative Party are doing. But if you do want to make an argument about competence, the Tories do make it very, very easy. This issue of sort of tarring Keir Starmer as friends of lefty lawyers who are the enemy of Britain, is it going to work, James? The Tories do seem to think it's got legs, but I'm not sure how much it's sticking.
It works if Labour lets it work, and they do sort of react to this stuff by sort of desperately trying to come out and say how not like the Tory stereotype they are. They've got real sort of paranoia that's developed around this. For instance, Keir Starmer describing Just Stop Oil as contemptible for daring to suggest that we shouldn't, in fact, dig every last bit of fossil fuel we can out of the North Sea, given the climate crisis and all the rest of it. I mean, that's a very strong word to use. Massively over the top, whatever you might think about Just Stop Oil or whatever, massively over the top, clearly a kind of overreaction to the Tory attempts to provoke him on this. So presumably there's something going on with this as well. To expect the Labour leadership, in the way that they are hypersensitive to this stuff, to massively overreact. And of course, that doesn't actually benefit Labour very much, but it does mean the Tories can keep the story going, and they can keep this going for some period of time as an election comes up in 18 months or so.